Oscar Bevis for IFL TV in association with MTK Global. I'm here today in Brentwood at the Matchroom Gym, joined by Mr. Tony Sims. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
Just sort of come down today to sort of speak to some of the boys here, see what their 2019 was like, how they would rate their 2019, what we can expect for 2020. First off, let's talk about your 2019. Ups and downs, highs and lows. Probably more lows than you would have expected. Some controversy as well. Can you sum it up?
Yeah, it was a mixture of really of happiness and sadness really, because we started off the year good. We had a good win for Benn at the O2. Then we had the Cheeseman result, which with Fitzgerald for the British title. And I thought Ted won that fight, but you know, he didn't get the decision. And then we went into the Felix Cash fight against Jack Cullen. That was a good fight. Felix come out on top on that fight. And then we had the John Ryder decision for the world title against Callum Smith, which I thought John won that fight. It was a great fight. I believe John won that fight. And so it was mixed emotions really last year.
How tough is it when there's things like, and I spoke to Felix about this and John, so I sort of wanted to get their perspective as well as a fighter, but for you as a trainer, how difficult is it when you've got these decisions and perhaps you're going into fights and camps and it's in the back of your mind, and it's not just putting the fighters down but the people around them that they're training alongside? Does it make for sort of a difficult gym at times?
It's hard when you're not getting a nod, you know. Even like going back to 2019 with Ricky Burns and Lee Selby, you know, that was a close fight. I thought Selby might have just nicked it, but when you're on your own show and you're the own fighter, you think, oh, you might have just done enough. Like one judge scored it a draw, it was a split decision. So, you know, but I weren't upset about that fight. It could have gone either way. But the Cheeseman fight and the Ryder fight, when you think you've won the fight, you know, you believe you won, and where there's a lot at stake as well. Because it ain't just like winning the titles, like, you know, the general public think, oh, well, what you going on about? It's only a title. It's about the money and financial future that they set up for themselves. And, you know, John Ryder especially has had a few bad breaks in his career where he's watched his opponents go on, like Billy Joe, Callum Smith, Rocky Fielding, go into big money fights where he could have gone, the decisions should have and could have gone his way. And, you know, he would have ended up financially secure, which he ain't at the moment. So, you know, what he'll be doing, you know, he'll be thinking to himself, look, I'm doing everything right, I'm winning the fights, but they just ain't going my way. So, you know, for him, it's a really frustrating sport for him, where not just a sport or a job for him, where he should be getting the dividends, but he's not.
I'm going to start with John. Like you said, obviously frustrating time for him. The common denominator between sort of Fielding, who Callum Smith wants and who Billy Joe wants, is of course Canelo. His name's actually been mentioned by Lee Reynoso, John's name, but realistically with the other guys around, it's pretty much, we know it's not going to be John that's going to fight Canelo next. Like you said, that's the big money fight, that's the one that he would have wanted to land, and now he can't. So yeah, Canelo's a man who holds all the power. It's probably not going to go John's way. It might not even go Callum and Billy's way. What's next for John?
You don't know what way he's going to go. I feel like Canelo is playing with people. You know, he
enjoys the power.
He enjoys the power, yeah. Like Floyd Mayweather had this power, and they just choose and do whatever they want to do. And you don't know what way it's going to go. You really don't. And there was talk about him fighting Billy Joe, like a lot of paper talk. And then there was talk about him fighting Callum, and now there's talk about him fighting this Morita in Japan. And you just don't know. I mean, personally, I don't really see him dropping down to middleweight to fight again, especially to fight the Japanese guy who's got the WBA regular version. And I don't know. I don't see the understanding in why he would do that. other than gain fans across the globe. But he's already got loads of fans. So
Who deserves it more, in your opinion, out of Billy Joe and Callum?
it's different. It's different. That's a good question. For different reasons. Obviously, Callum Smith's got the Ring Magazine belt, which is a big belt, and he holds the WBA super belt. So obviously he holds the bigger titles. Billy Joe, he's a 2-weight world champion. So they both deserve the fight, both of them. Whatever one Canelo wants to pick out, and you never know. Canelo could turn around and say, "Oh, I'll just defend my WBA regular against John because that's what I want to do." It's up to him what he wants to do. Because his trainer tweeted that he believed John won the fight against Callum, and that's the reason that John got put in the hat. So you just don't really know what he's going to do. But once he has chosen, once his decision's done, then it opens up what everyone else is going to do. Because at the minute, everyone's just sitting on the sidelines waiting for him to choose because he's like, he's the golden goose.
I came in here today thinking that you'd say you'd want Billy Joe to fight Canelo so you can perhaps get the Callum rematch. But you've said to me off camera that you'd actually fancy the Billy Joe fight more.
I'd like to do the Billy Joe return. I've always tried to get that obviously I've always tried to get that return fight since John and him fought for the British. It was a close fight, could have gone either way. It was a brilliant fight as well, really good fight it was. And they both put everything on the line, but I've always hunted that fight again because I always believed John could beat Billy Joe. Billy Joe's a great fighter, don't get me wrong, everything he does, the skill level he's got is fantastic, and I remember he used to come over when he was young and spar with Darren Barker, and he knew he had that ability to go on and do big things. But I think John deserves the rematch with Billy Joe because he's always hunted it, and he's watched Billy Joe obviously go on, do really well, pick up 2 world titles, earn a lot of money, and I think he deserves a rematch with Billy Joe if the Canelo fight don't go with him. The same as he deserves the rematch with Callum Smith, but from what I'm hearing on the Callum Smith side is that they're going to look for a fight in April in America, so they ain't looking at John to do the return with John. So what I don't want John to do is be in no man's land, because they're the only 2 really big fights out there for him. Because if you look at the other 2 champions, Caleb Plant and Benavides, they're with PBC. So, John's with Matchroom, with DAZN, he's British. So it's out of Billy and Joe and Callum Smith who he should fight next, really, if they don't get picked by Canelo.
Yes, obviously, just to wrap it up, a sticky situation for John, but what can we expect sort of time-wise if, regardless of who fights, April, May? Looking at?
Hopefully he fights in April, but
yeah.
As I say, we really don't know. Is
he a big enough name now to sort of headline his own show in London, would you say? Because his stock has definitely risen despite the fact he lost to Callum. Would you say he's sort of big enough to headline a show now, John?
Well, he headlined the show, didn't he, when he done
sort of the main, because obviously Callum was defending his world title, so could John defend one in London being sort of the main attraction to the people coming to watch it? Yeah,
of course. He was the main attraction when he done the final eliminator, didn't he, for the WBA. He was the main attraction then, but like his top bills before. But the thing is,
like an 0-2, you reckon? Yeah,
the thing is, it's only them 2 fights that really is attractive to the fans, really. It's either Ryder Billy Joe or Ryder Callum Smith, if Callum Smith and Billy Joe ain't going to fight. And that's the big attractive fights there. If everyone goes their own way, it don't make sense for all 3 of them to go their own way, because they're all under the same promoter, they're all under DAZN, they're all under Sky Sports. It just don't make any sense at all to keep them all separated for another year down the line. John's willing and ready to fight either one of them, and I just don't think. I think they should be made. If Canelo don't pick either one of them, I think they should be made in fights.
Okay, right. I know you've got a run for pie and mash. Where your mum is it? So
double pie, double mash and liquor.
Double pie, 2 pie, 2 mash, course. Quick wrap up of the other guys in your stable. Conor Benn last year. Did we perhaps see loads of different sides to Conor Benn, the boxing side, the punching side, but we're sort of yet to see it, and hopefully in 2020 we see it sort of mould together and become perhaps one more complete version of Conor Benn?
Yeah, because as you all know, he's like a raw novice when he come over here. hardly had any amateur bats, and he was a raw novice. You can see it in his early fights. He was just swinging away. But now, we've worked on his boxing ability. We've worked on his rolling inside, his slipping punches. The ability to block and punch off the gloves like he did in his last fight. And he'll put it all together this year. I'm excited about him this year. I think he'll have a really good year this year. He's 23 now, so he's starting physically to get strong. He's got the power that his dad had, and I think it's an exciting year because he can box smart as well, and that's the exciting thing about him. He can box smart, he can roll and slip shots. He's got good, nice footwork, and he can punch, and he's growing into a man now. So I think this year, I want to keep him busy this year. I want to get at least 4 fights in for him this year. Keep him busy in the gym, busy fighting, and get a good year in this year. Decent opponents, move up a bit of a level in the opponents. Eddie's talking about Johnny Garton at the O2 in March the 28th, who Johnny's only recently lost to British, so it's a nice little step up for him there. And then just go on from there really and start, getting a few good wins under his belt this season.
Another man who had a tough year, as you mentioned earlier, with a couple of decisions, Ted Cheeseman, back raring to go for 2020. Because I know there was a point where perhaps he was considering his place in the sport. Sort of 2020, back at it.
When you're his age as well, he's only young as well. It's defeats hit him hard, because they're not experienced fighters, and when they get defeated, or he had the draw against Kieran Conway. Kieran Conway's a really good fighter, I think, and it was always going to be an hard fight against Kieran, but listen, he won that fight. It was never a draw, he won the fight. Then went into the Fitzgerald fight, and everyone believed he won that fight. It was a good fight. Scott's a terrific fighter. He had that great win over Fowler, and then Ted went in there and boxed smart. Boxing ability, footwork, jab, which he can do. And I think this year, he's gained a lot of good experience with a lot of good fighters last year, and he's still really, really young. He's only just turned 24. He's just a young kid, and this year I think he will push on and go back into the British title mould. I'm going to get him an 8-rounder. I think he's boxing an 8-rounder in March on a next gen bill. Then get a 10-rounder, say. June, say, and then by September he'll be ready. Whoever's British champion, whether it be Fowler, Fitzgerald or Conway, because them three will all be fighting each other. Whoever's champion by September, then Ted will get back in there, and the experience he's gained from last year and this year as he's getting older, I think he'll come again, Ted.
Of course, there's a couple of other lads. He told me earlier off camera about Martin J. Ward was going to fight in Miami. Couldn't find an opponent, so he said it's not worth going out there, doing the 10 days, paying the expenses you'd have to pay to get him to fight out there if it's not going to sort of boost his name or ranking, etc. So he's going to be fighting on the Sheffield bill. Yeah,
he's got a decent opponent on the Sheffield bill. He's got a Mexican called Jesus Amparo. He's like 19-1 with like 16 or 17 KOs, so he's a good opponent. Martin's been unbeaten in his last 4 fights since the Tennyson defeat. That's his only defeat he's had. He weren't right that night. He was dead on the weight. He'd done the weight wrong. He weren't very well. Anyway, you can't make excuses for that, but that's his only defeat, and he's come back. He's bounced back. He's had 4 good wins. He needs another good win under his belt on this fight against a decent opponent, and then
he's another one playing the waiting game.
Yeah, he's just waiting. But I think Eddie will make it happen this year for him. I really do. I've spoke to Eddie a couple of times about it, and he went, "Listen, I'm really pushing hard to make it." And Eddie did actually try and get a big fight for him in Miami. He really did, and because I know the ins and outs, which I'm not going to go on about, but he really tried to make a big fight, and he offered good money for a good opponent, but it never happened. So I think he will land a big fight this summer, I really do.
Right, there's a couple of other guys, but like I said, you've got to rush. Big year for your stable, but I've got to ask you about Wilder Fury. Break it down for me.
Fury, yeah. What an interesting fight. Because listen, like the first fight, I think 99% of people got it wrong in the first fight. I don't think that anyone see Fury performing like he did. Out of his skin, performed out of his skin. You know, he got dropped twice, got up twice. Everyone thought he won the fight. Whether Wilder underestimated him, he might have underestimated him. Watching his last two performances, I think naturally, any human being watching that would be thinking, wow, like, he's not the fighter he was. I'm going to walk through him, but I think Wilder will train harder and be more up for this fight now, knowing he's got a life and death fight in front of him. You know, and so will Fury. So prediction-wise, I don't really know, to be honest. You know, it could be Wilder might floor him and then finish him, or Fury could outbox him again. It depends on what Tyson Fury turns up, because you never know that either. It's so
Is it a
unpredictable.
lot more about what Tyson turns up rather than what Wilder turns up, would you say?
I think both of them. I think Wilder never turned up last time, and Fury really did shock everyone. I think they'll both turn up this time, both of them. So just see what happens. You know, I think it's an unpredictable fight with two unpredictable fighters, and it's hard to pick either one of them out what's going to happen.
All right, Tony, last question. Do you have chili vinegar on your pie mash?
Yes.
Good man.
Pepper and salt, plenty.
Thanks for that.
See ya.
Gold Star Promotions is proud to present Floyd Money Mayweather. The man himself is coming to the UK for his UK tour, February and March 2020. For all info and tickets, Gold Star Promotions.co.uk.